And we're towing the tractor back. See, got my chain, my steering hoses, and then I just steer the tractor with the SCBs. Nothing to it. Driving two tractors at once. Hey, welcome back to ZK MasterTech. Got a 9620 RX here. Looks like we got a bleeder. Oh, you poor thing. It's coming out of the hood even. For Pete's sake. Oh man. Everything is icky. So, it's got to be that timing cover, and these are bad about those bolts getting loose. And there's just a rubber gasket behind there, so usually you can just take the bolts out one at a time, clean them up, put some Loctite on them, and torque them back down and get these things to seal back up. But man, it made a mess. Just a nasty mess. I got oil coming out of everywhere. But I think I'm gonna have to take the alternator, AC compressor, tensioner belt, this whole assembly off so I can get this bracket off of here so I can get back there to some of them bolts back there, because I think we need to get that off so we can get all the bolts out and retorque back on there, and it's gonna take a lot of brake clean. Man, it's windy out here on the prairie. All right, so for those of you who are on the fence about getting the subcompact M12 stubby 3/8, let me show you how much power this got. So we got these alternator bolts, you know, those are usually pretty tight, you know, and I'm using a swivel. Let's see what it does. Pulls them right out. No problem. The subcompact stubby. And just to give you a size comparison between the Gen 2 stubby and the subcompact stubby. Quite a bit of difference. So I really like this little guy. You can fit it into really tight areas working on engines and stuff. It's perfect for those situations. And it still has enough oomph, you know, 225 foot-pounds torque, nut-busting torque. But, you know, this baby's like 550. But, you know, a lot bigger motor rotating assembly in there than this one. But this one will still get in there and get the job done. Let's see if the stubby can power through these big 18mm bolts. Nope. It wants to. Guess we're gonna have to get the regular stubby out. You know, we're still finding the limitations of the subcompact, but those are pretty nasty bolts. Goodness sakes. Guess we're gonna have to step it up to the old mid torque, for crying out loud. All right, like I always say, mid torque won't care. Nope. Does not care. Yep, it doesn't care. Now I can pull that big bracket out of there. Well, that's a chunk of steel now. Got my scaffolding rig set up because it really sucks to have both feet on worn out tracks and you're just balancing on that little nub right there. Really hard on your ankles, so I always set up a little scaffolding and get 1 foot planted, have all your weight on this foot sitting flat. And then you just set 1 foot up there, and then of course a little 2-step ladder to get up and down. Lifesaver. Anyway, now you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. Looks like it's mainly leaking, you know, right around here. Oh yeah. So this bolt right here Finger loose. God, I love it. All right, we're gonna have to hit this with the big guns. This is Schaefer's Citral degreaser. Good stuff. I'm gonna soak it all down with this and then it'll just wipe right off. Well, it's not perfect, but it's as good as I can do for a quickie here. You know, it's a lot better. We'll be able to see, you know, if it's leaking again. But as soon as I start it, you know, all the oil that's on these fan blades and just every little nook and cranny, and that wind's gonna blow, you know, it's gonna make a mess. It needs a date with a power washer, okay? We just got to get it, you know, to where it can run and not bleed to death, and get it out of the field, and then, you know, we can give it a good washy. So we're going to take one bolt out at a time, spray a little brake clean in the hole. Okay. Milwaukee M18 precision blower. We can blow this hole out. Nice and dry. M18 precision blower. I got the 6mm tip in there. Works pretty good for blowing stuff off real quick, or you need to dry out a hole, blow out a hole. Don't have to start up the truck, turn the air compressor on, just grab this thing and just give her a quick blowy and move on with your life, right? We're gonna clean the bolt too, soak it in Loctite 242, put it in the hole. Okay. And the spec is 23, but I'm gonna see what 26 feels like, because it's an M8 bolt. Oh yeah, 26 feels pretty good. Yep. So I'm gonna go with 26 because, you know, these came loose to begin with. Spec's 23, but we're gonna take each one of these out all the way around, and we're just gonna work our way around this way, counterclockwise if you're looking from the front of the engine. And then behind the dampener, there's studs and nuts. So we'll just reach down there with a wrench and make sure that those are tight. And yeah, we'll do each and every one of those bolts. All right, well, I got all the bolts taken out, cleaned, retorqued. Now I'm gonna put all this back together and try to clean it the best I can. Ta-da! All back together. Check the oil on this thing, and then it's probably gonna be a little low. Then we'll fire it up. What in the world? How is it raining right now? There is not a rain cloud in the sky, and it's raining. You can hear it hitting those tubes of corn. Bags of corn, I should say. See the water droplets on it? What in the heck? It's just sprinkling. You can see it on tracks, but there is no rain clouds anywhere. Huh. Weird. Nope. It's full. It's right at the full mark. Must have been over full. All right, let's hit it. It just died on me. Let's coolant level extremely low. We didn't have a coolant leak. Guess we'll check that out. Well, you have coolant in you. You're in between. You're like right at the max cold line. What is your deal? All right, I'll put some coolant in you. Now you listen here. You behave now. You're gonna make me mad. Still have a stop code? Why? Oh. Okay, now you happy now? Wasn't even that low. Well, it's been screaming about coolant level being low in the past. You stop it. You're not low. You got like 18 gallons in you. And coolant level sensors plugged in. Everything looks good there. Are you happy now? Well, alrighty, that rig is done. Look, you can't even tell it's a bleeder anymore just by walking up to it. I cleaned it off, you know, where you walked up to it like, oh, there's no problem here. So the customer's going to come run the tractor. He's going to run that Degelman. He's got a Degelman on it, ProTail 36, and he's going to run this afternoon, and we'll see what happens. But no leakies so far, and I didn't find any coolant leaks. I don't know why it was low on coolant. It wasn't really that low. I mean, it was at the max cold line, but I went ahead and topped her off to the brim, to the top mark you can possibly go. So we'll see what happens. So I hope you guys are enjoying the new video quality, because I just got a new phone. So I got a new iPhone 17 Pro Max, 1 terabyte. I always video with the phone. I have 4K cameras and stuff, but they just don't work as good as an iPhone. And whenever you put a wireless mic, that's what this is right here, and I got a little fluffy thing over it to help with the wind, you know, the audio is really good too. So I was videoing today in very high winds out here, so I'm kind of curious to see how it sounds once I get into the editing phase. But if you guys are wondering what I always use iPhones. The cameras are awesome. I video at 4K 60 frames per second, and yeah, it looks great whenever I edit. And I use a MacBook Pro with Final Cut Pro for editing software, so anybody can buy those things and learn how to use it. So I encourage you guys to pick up a phone, start a YouTube channel. All right, next service call is a 9R590. It's got a 13.6 liter in it. It's probably one of my new favorite wheeled 9R tractors. I really like the 9R590. It's a solid machine. Really like the 13.6 liter. Works really good. Haven't had hardly any issues with the 13.6. Just minor things like starters and a sensor here and there. So been pretty good engine so far. This one's setting a code for ECU 94.18, which is fuel pressure signal moderately low. So they said they're going to change the fuel filters and see what happens, but I'm only 3 miles away from this tractor, so I'm going to go drive down there and see what's going on. It's a 9RX 590. Even better. Well, you never get the full story over the phone, do you? Look there. Low fuel pressure. And then look, we got a fuel rail pressure extremely low too. So they were both, the latest occurrence was at 732.55 hours. We got 733 on it now. So these set almost, this one set, and then immediately right after that one set. So I would assume we don't have a monitoring issue. It's more than likely, because these are two separate sensors. We got a low pressure fuel sensor, and then we got our rail pressure sensor here. So more than likely we probably have a fuel supply issue, and they haven't changed the fuel filters yet. They're on the way, so I think we need to change those fuel filters and see what happens. But I'm gonna run some tests and see what I can come up with while we're waiting. All right, well, we got her under a load now. 100% load, running about 36,000 PSI rail pressure. Low pressure fuel, Holding steady around 6 psi where we want it. So far, so good. Today we're riding with Ian.
Hi there.
Ian is from South Africa. Where at from South Africa are you from?
I'm from the Free State.
Oh yeah?
Like the province of the Free State, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've met, I think, one other person from there.
Yeah, but there's also not a lot of South Africans around here, so...
No, there's 3 or 4 farms that I know of.
But yeah, there aren't a lot of people from that province anyway, so...
Gotcha. I remember the first time I met somebody from South Africa.
Yeah.
And I think it was this farm. And the guy got out of the cab, just a normal looking white guy.
Yeah.
But he started talking, and I'm like, dude, where the heck are you from? I have no idea what you're saying.
I've gotten a lot of, are you from Australia? Like, a lot of people think that
Yeah,
we sound Australian.
you do. You do kind of sound Australian, but this guy was not speaking, like, English at all.
Yeah.
Like, it was
So,
unlike anything I've ever heard before. And yeah, we had a breakdown of communication.
yeah.
So he was trying to tell me what was wrong with the tractor, and I couldn't really figure it out. I just kind of had to operate the tractor and figure it out myself.
Yeah, some of the guys' accents do get out there. You don't really know what they're saying.
You speak very well.
Thanks. Yeah, I went to an English school back home.
Oh, okay. I speak English and Spanish, and that is it. And redneck.
But what's the difference between a redneck and a hillbilly?
What's the difference between a redneck and a what?
And a hillbilly.
And a hillbilly?
Yeah.
Really not much.
Okay.
It's pretty much just another word for a redneck. I could be wrong. There's probably going to be some people comment below the difference between a redneck and a hillbilly. I don't know. We're pretty much rednecks around here.
And I thought like rednecks were like mainly from the south.
Yeah. I mean, that's a true statement.
Okay.
The hillbillies from the south too.
Oh, okay.
But you know,
Yeah.
tomato. The conversations you have in the cab of tractors, you just never know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we got her whipped in, so I'm going to go back to my truck, and he's going to finish up this field. He's only got one more pass to do, and then you're moving on. Where are you going from here?
Bethany.
Bethany?
Yeah.
Well, that's a trip.
It's gonna be a trip.
Geez, that's going to take you like an hour and a half to get there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. Nice to meet you, Ian.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for the help.
All right, another tractor fixed. We'll have to see what's next, but we only got about an hour left of daylight, so might have to cut today short. But yeah, every single person that I've met from South Africa has just been super nice, super cool. They are very good workers, very good operators. They know how to work on stuff. They're really mechanical. Yeah, they just do a great job on the farm. So it's always, and I always learn something when I hang out with them. You never know what you're going to talk about. Well, I thought I'd come back and cut these filters open. And look at this one. Look at that. Looks like it's got some algae on it. Great. But this one doesn't look too bad. So I think there's like 175 hours on these fuel filters. All right, well, I called the customer and let him know, he needs to probably start treating that fuel tank, treating all his tanks, and needs to call his fuel guy. Better get to the bottom of that before algae gets out of control, because man, once you get a bunch of algae in your tanks, it can be very, very bad, and it can cause a lot of damage, and it can cost you a lot of money in fuel filters. All right, well, yesterday was a fun and exciting adventure. Unfortunately, I couldn't take you guys along with me. The day started out with a S780 that smacked a tree with its unload auger and bent the unload auger swing cylinder rod really bad. I'll try to show you guys that cylinder. It's in the back of my truck, but bent the cylinder and dented in the tube enough to where the auger was hitting the tube. So I had to bash the tube back out enough to where it would run. The guy literally had 7 acres left to harvest in corn, and he was going to be done. Whack the tree. So I got that fixed, and then the next call was where it got interesting. I went to go look at it at 9520. Customer said was setting low engine oil pressure code. Another tech had previously went out there and replaced the water pump because the water pump bearing went out. It actually filled the crankcase. He said there was about 2.5 gallons of coolant in the crankcase. That's not good, but he drained he replaced the water pump. When he had the water pump out, he turned the engine over and looked at all the timing gears, and he said all the timing gears looked good, but he couldn't see the crank gear because you can't see the crank gear unless you take all the timing covers and everything off. But he said all the gears look good and everything. He cut the oil filter open, and there was some metal in it, but he said that that could have been from the water pump bearing going out, which it very well could have been. And changed the oil, fill it up with coolant, fired it up, and oil pressure was around 60 psi. And when it's at 60, it's about 3/4 of the way up on the gauge on the instrument cluster there. So he said, give that a try. So the customer took the tractor out in the field, and he made it one round, and it set the code for low engine oil pressure. So he limped it back to his shop, which he's working just right across the street from his farm. So he just kind of limped it back there, shut it off. So I was in the area, so I drove over there and I plugged in a mechanical oil pressure gauge, started up, 60 psi oil pressure. I'm like, okay, things are looking good. And then I warmed the engine block up to about 150. Engine oil pressure went down to 20 psi. Those don't normally drop 40 psi when you warm them up, okay? But the minimum spec is actually 9 psi at 900 RPM and 14.5 psi at 1200. So at 20, we're still not at the minimum spec. And this engine only has about like 3,700 hours on a 9520, which is really low hour. It's a good looking tractor. It's got new tires on it. Good looking rig. But anywho, so I decided, well, I wanted to change the oil again because when you pulled the dipstick, you still got some watery grayish material on the end of the dipstick. So I wanted to put new oil, change the oil again, and put a new filter on just to make sure, we were clean. And I rechecked the oil pressure after that was done. Same thing, 60 psi when I started it. I warmed it up to about 170 this time. Dropped the oil pressure down to 20 again. But when you look at the gauge on the dash, 20 psi is right in the green, and it's right in the middle, like 12 o'clock. And then when you revved it up to high idle, it would show 3/4 of the way up. I'm like, well, I couldn't really get the thing hot enough just sitting there in his lot, just idling around. And I wanted to put some more heat into the engine to see what the oil pressure did, see if we get the code to come back up. So I'm like, well, let's just take it out to the field and put it under a load. So we did. We dropped the tool on the ground. We get about halfway through this and we hit a low spot, and the engine, lugs down to where the guy has to downshift, and he downshifts. And after that downshift, that engine, it changed tones. It just didn't sound the same after that. It sounded like it was laboring really hard. And we're chugging along, and then we get to about almost to where we need to start to turn. And right as soon as he picks the tool out of the ground, it just started spewing smoke out the blow-by tube, and it started knocking and hammering. and the coolant temperature went all the way up to the red and just pegged it. And the oil pressure never set a code for oil pressure, and the last time that I looked at it, it was right in the middle, about 20 psi, but we were at wide open throttle at that point. And then I got out to go see if I could figure out what was smoking and what the noise was, get a little closer to the engine, and as soon as I stepped foot on the ground, bam, engine locked up, solid. The coolant tank on the side of the engine block was boiling. There was just smoke pouring out of the blow-by tube. I pulled the dipstick out and just smoke just pouring out of the dipstick tube. The engine is no longer with us. RIP 9520 engine, dead. So that was pretty crazy. I don't know if, running the water has in that thing ruined the main and rod bearings in this thing, and we finally spun a bearing, or what the deal is with this thing. We won't really know till we get this tractor hauled in and we pull the oil pan, see what's going on. So this morning I'm gonna go out there. I brought the park brake tool. We need that to pump off the park brake, and I brought some chains, and I brought steering hoses. So I'm gonna hook steering hoses into the steering cylinder of this tractor, and then I'm going to hook them into an 8R that the customer has, and I'm going to use the 8R to steer this tractor and pull it at the same time. We're not going to be able to haul it back today, but I'm just trying to get it back to his lot to where we can bring a drop deck and come pick this thing up early next week sometime. So that's the mission this morning. But this is a new customer that I haven't really, I just met him for the first time yesterday, so don't really know how much I'm going to be videoing of this process today, but I thought you'd let you know we got another one coming into the shop. The carnage is stacking up outside the shop, and it's going to take us all winter to get it all fixed. So here's this field. This is where we started. Right here, and we started going across, and we got to this little dip right here in the field, and that's whenever it started lugging hard and the engine changed tones. And you can see where the tractor is now. That's where she locked up. So it went from running fine. I mean, this thing ran smooth as could be until we put it under load and hit that load spot. And then it just wasn't the same. And of course it died in a full turn. At least it was turned to the right. If it was turned to the left, I'd be upset. We're right next to an old football field. Okay. Pulled the dipstick this morning. It is right on the full mark and it looks clean. I mean, the oil level couldn't be any more perfect. So I don't think we're getting water in the crankcase again. So step number one of hauling this thing back is we have to pump off the park brake because it's spring applied, hydraulically released. So this thing ain't going nowhere until we get the park brake released. You take the floor mat out, and there's this little panel you can take out, and then there's a hose with a male ISO coupler on it where you can snap onto it with this porta power, and then we pump it up to about 200 psi. But first, before you pump it up, I got a wiring harness that's getting power and ground from the starter, and then it runs back here to our park brake sump, and supply solenoids, this one and this one. And we plug right into there. We put power and ground to both of those solenoids, and then we can apply that pressure from the park brake tool to release the brake that's inside of here. So I got it pumped up to about 200 psi, so it should roll. Now, the next step is we're gonna take these two hoses off right here, and then we're gonna put in 2 lines into here, and that will give us the power to steer with these cylinders using the SCVs of another tractor. So, but I think before I do that, I'm gonna try to get this tool unhooked. Yeah. Try to get this thing off there. Luckily the tongue pressure is down, so I can put the jack down, try to jack it up, get that pin out, take these hoses and everything off to where this thing can sit here and I can pull away from it. And we're towing the tractor back. See, got my chain, my steering hoses, and then I just steer the tractor with the SCVs. Nothing to it. Driving 2 tractors at once. Well, I got it towed back to the guy's shop there. It was a nice, easy tow. Just hit straight line, jump the ditch straight into the driveway, unhook it, leave it. So later on, we'll use the same tractor to pull it onto the drop deck trailer and steer it, and just pull it right on the trailer, and then we'll strap it down, pick up the trailer, and haul it back to the store. And then you got to get it off the trailer, and and then you got to get it into the shop. You got to be able to steer it and pull it into the shop. But we'll probably use we got a forklift that's got auxiliary hydraulics on it, and we can push it with the forklift and steer it at the same time. So that's how we usually get it into the shop and parked where we want it. Well, this is what happens when you hit a tree at 4 miles an hour with your unloading auger. Look how bent that rod got. I'm just glad it didn't snap, because then that makes a mess. Yeah. Awesome. Next service call, 9530. Got a leak on the front axle. Looks like it's the differential lock solenoid leaking. So the customer went down to our other dealership down south in Assumption and got a new solenoid valve, and I'm gonna meet him back up at the farm and see if we can see what's leaking and possibly swap that out. I got the Matco magnetic light that just fits right up in there. Replace that solenoid right there, buried in dirt. I had to be an archaeologist to get it out. Another satisfied customer. Off he goes. And off I go. So that was the front differential lock solenoid. And when I pulled it out, the O-rings were kind of chewed up on it. Just been in there a hot minute. Tractor's got 5,500 hours on it. So it's been in there since Moby was a minnow. Okay. Give it a little priage. Too much pressure. Let me go down a little. How about that? Keep going. There it is. All right, now I'm gonna go up top and get it out. Okay, pull that hose back as far as you can. Oh man, I don't know if it's gonna fit. I don't think it's gonna fit. She's too fat. I don't think it's gonna fit. If I took this reservoir, all the mounts loose on it, then I could shift this over.
And then we can push the pump.
And then, yeah. All right, loosen the reservoir mounts so I could shift this thing over, because I don't have a whole lot of room to get it squeezed through there. All right, let's see if we can give birth to this pump now. Oh, yeah. So I don't know who the guy is from the factory putting these plugs in, but I couldn't break this one loose with the Milwaukee Gen 2 high torque with a forged battery, which is ridiculous. So we're stepping it up to the 1-inch. All right, let me turn this a little bit. There we go. Say hello to my little friend. Dude, are you serious? That was my Snap-on 3/4 to 1/2-inch adapter. It is no longer with us. All right. Well, RIP that option. I'm gonna go get another option here. Sunex 3/4 drive, 19 mil impact. That's what I probably should have got to start with, but I didn't think it was just gonna snap that like it was nothing. Oh yeah, that was a winning ticket. Now, you shouldn't have to get out the 1-inch impact to get a freaking Allen plug out, just so you can put a fitting in it. For Pete's sake. Okay, down we go. There it goes. Get a bolt started. All right, we got bolts in. We just need to tighten them down. Well, we got it all back together. We're currently putting oil in it right now. And start the process of firing it up and keeping it topped off and making sure we got all the oil levels right and make sure we don't have any leaks. And then once we don't have any leaks and our oil level's staying where it needs to be, then we can calibrate that pump. All right, so we got this thing fired up and running right now. Didn't have no leaks or anything. We got it topped off. You know, you got to start it for just a few seconds the first time because it'll suck it down real fast, and then just keep topping it off and running it a little bit more each time until basically the reservoir doesn't move at all. So now I'm getting the oil temperature up to at least 100 degrees before I start calibrating the hydrostatic pump. So I'll have to calibrate the pump on this thing. I'm going to have to calibrate the transmission too, because we've got a brand new transmission in this thing. So for those of you that don't know the history of this combine, or maybe you've forgotten, I'll give you a little refresher here. We had this S780 combine. It was throwing codes for the transmission supply pressure low, and it was throwing codes for basically the transmission was slipping. What ended up happening was the separator clutch went out, and a bunch of that clutch material went down, and it plugged the suction screen at the bottom of the main gear case, which the transmission supply pump feeds from. So it starved that pump of oil, which then starved the transmission of oil and ended up smoking the transmission clutches in the transmission. And it also, you know, created contamination in the system. And we had we put a transmission in it, pulled the main engine gear case, put a separated clutch in it, and then once we got it all back together and fired up, it threw a stop code for forward hydrostatic pressure problem. It was showing 538 bar on forward pressure when it was supposed to be in neutral. So in neutral, you're supposed to have about 35 bar forward and reverse. But this one was 538 on forward and 0 on reverse. I swapped the pressure sensors, it did move. I swapped the pressure relief valves, it did move. Basically, the pump was stuck in forward stroke. So I got a new hydrostatic pump, and that's what we did today, was replace that pump and everything. So now I've got to calibrate that pump. So I'll be going into a PTP address and calibrating that pump, and then I'll calibrate the transmission. And then we can put the gull-wing doors on and yeah, kind of clean up around and try to get this thing out of here, and so I can drive it, run the separator. We still haven't ran the separator yet, so there's still a lot of testing left to go on this combine. So it's about a little after 1 o'clock right now. I'm hoping we can get this thing finalized and done today, but it's going to be kind of pushing it probably. So that's what we're up to now. All right, so we're going to PTP address 112 is our pump cal. Now this is going to get violent. It's going to put the engine at 100% load. Oh, it won't set it low idle. Okay. Okay. Oh baby, 100% engine load. Set done. Okay, to the front motor cowl. Done. To this AST cowl. Everything's calibrated now. Sweet. Well, everything seems to be working. Sweet. Well, it drives smooth.
I was about to say, it doesn't seem particularly pissed off.
I like it. All right, well, that combine is finally done. We took her about 10 hot laps around the lot, and so far everything seems to be good. No leaks, everything works. So I don't think that combine's going to be around very long. It's actually the dealership's combine. It's for sale, and there's been a lot of people interested in wanting to buy it, but they haven't been able to look at it because it's been working on in the shop. So now that it's available, I think someone's probably going to buy it. So that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, let me know how I'm doing, and make sure you check out my new tool series. I'm going to try to add some kind of bonus content, tool related stuff, because I've had a lot of requests for that. So there's a new video out. It came out Thursday night, so make sure you check it out. I tested out 3 brand new Milwaukee products that I think you guys are going to dig, so check it out and keep that green iron moving.